So if you want to use Adobe Premiere to make a short video clip of something you record out of OBS, this is pretty easy to do. You don't have to have a whole lot of experience with Adobe Premiere in order to do this. You'll start out with a video clip that you make from OBS. I saved mine to this folder. I actually just recorded for a couple of hours and I want to just clip out what I want. I don't need the whole 3-hour long video clip. I'll start out by opening Adobe Premiere and I want to start a new project. I want to make sure that all of my files are saving to the same folder that I have here on my desktop. So in order to do that, I'm going to click Start New Project. And the place you want to check are just these locations up here. So right now I can tell there's the folder, but it's saying that the project location is in a Google Share Drive. So I'm just going to change the location of that to the folder on my desktop. So here's the project location. I'm going to change this to gameplay video. And then I'm just going to click this recording. The folder that you have set here is the one that will pull open any available videos that you can use to edit. So I can tell this is almost a 3.5 hour long video, and I definitely want to cut that down. I only want to pull out a couple minutes worth of clips in order to make my video. So I'll hit create. And you might get some default windows here just kind of floating around in random spots. You can change the location of those. I usually like to have this window with all of my video clip assets down here. So I'm just going to put that right there. And here's the actual video right now as it looks. The part that I want to edit in is right in here. So I'm going to just drag this out a little bit and we can see our video clips. Here's our video on top, and there is our audio on the bottom. Now, one thing that's good to check before you start editing is that it actually detects some audio down here. I always like to recommend to do a test recording before you record, and then for some reason, if it has trouble capturing your audio input, you don't get to this step and then realize you don't have any audio. So if we drag this out a little bit, we can see that there's a whole bunch of audio in there. So that's good. That tells us that we have our audio and we don't have to re-record anything. So at this point, I know that the part of the video I want to capture is at a certain time frame. So I'm actually going to just type that in here. And if you hit enter, it'll bring you to a specific part of the video. You can even drag this bar around and you can actually hear the audio as it plays. I'll go back to that one again. And I want to just take a clip of a specific part of this. So the tool that I use the most is actually this razor tool right here. If you click on that, just click here right on the timeline and it will cut your video. For the sake of this, I don't need any of this earlier stuff, so I'm just going to delete that, and probably going to just drag this all back to the starting point of my recording here. So here's the starting point, and I only need a couple of minutes, so I'm going to drag this to the end of the fight that I actually want to make the clip of. So here is the end of the video, and I want to mark that as the kind of clip off the rest of this. So I'm going to go back to my razor tool and just click that right here, and then I'm going to delete the rest of that. So now instead of having a 3-hour long video, we now have about a 6-minute video, which is a little bit easier to deal with. And I have the entire fight clip that I want to export. So at this point, I might want to make it look a little bit more smooth. If I play it right now, it's just gonna start, or the ending will be, if I play that right now, the ending will be pretty abrupt, and I want to do a kind of a slower fade. So I'll right click right here. You'll see if you hover the cursor over, it'll kind of give you this different looking cursor. If I right click here and hit default transitions on both sides, that will give me a little bit more of a fade in, fade out. So now if I hit play, you'll notice that it has a little bit more smooth transition. I'll go back to the end here, hit play again, and it will have a little bit more smooth of a transition. So that's an easy way to kind of make it look a little bit more neat. If you just have a couple of clips, you could even put some clips back to back and put the transition in there, and it'll look a little bit more of a smooth transition. Okay, so at this point, this is the video that I want to keep. So I'm going to hit save. I'm going to save my project, and then I'm going to hit the export button. And there's a couple of prompts here. We actually don't have to care about most of this. The only thing we want to really care about is giving it a file name. So I'm just going to say this, it's a final game clip, and hit export. And if you're only doing a couple of minutes, it shouldn't take that long. Sometimes you might get it might take a couple minutes if you're hitting like the 10 to 15 minute mark on a video clip. But usually it doesn't take that long. Okay, once it is done, we're just going to, okay, we'll get a message that said it exported successfully. So now I'm going to just collapse my window here and go back to my my farm folder. And you'll see we have a couple of files in here. We have our Adobe Premiere autosave config files that just hang out here. Here's our actual project folder. Here's our original clip, and here's our final clip. And if we open that, now we have a 5-minute clip of the video that we needed. And we'll drag it to the end, and it'll have just kind of a nice fade out. So that's a quick way you can use Adobe Premiere to make clips of your gameplay. At this point, you could actually upload it to YouTube or another social media platform if you wanted to share it.